So I think Stephen brings up some very important points, and that is one, that we can't afford to be complacent and rest on our laurels here in Georgia. Despite the great work that we have done, there are many opportunities for us to move even higher. And also that this doesn't begin in pre-K, it begins at birth. As much exciting things happen in the brain between birth and 4 as they do when they're 4 and 5 years old. And that's the piece that we need to make sure that we are working on in terms of quality. So these investments in early learning for children impact student achievement throughout their entire career. As I mentioned earlier, there's much conversation about the K through 12 issue, but quality early childhood experiences are proven ingredients for kindergarten readiness and ultimately for all of their school success. If we expect our children to read on grade level by the end of 3rd grade, then we need to ensure that they have the foundational skills necessary for success in kindergarten and beyond. Georgia is one of the very few states in the entire country to have a separate state agency, I'm having trouble with that word, Georgia. The Georgia Department of Early Care and Learning, otherwise known as DECAL, that is solely dedicated to children birth to 5. And that agency, in order to be as successful as possible, must work closely with our State Department of Education to ensure the continuum of a child's entire educational experience, and that is well aligned and appropriate and intentional in order for them to be successful. So today we will have the chance to hear how both candidates who are hoping to be Georgia's next state superintendent will support and integrate early childhood development into our existing K through 12 system. Republican candidate Richard Woods was in St. Simons today and was unable to reach Atlanta in time to attend the summit, but his campaign asked that I read the following statement. Richard Woods has over 22 years of pre-K through 12th grade experience. Specifically, he has been a K through 12 administrator and a pre-K director. Richard's wife, Leisha, a 30-year reading recovery teacher, shares Richard's passion and focus on literacy. As an elementary level administrator, Richard did not stay isolated in an office, but covered classes, worked on the lunch serving line, and sought teacher input and feedback at every turn. He has been a tireless advocate for early childhood education, promoting literacy, calling for less testing and more teaching, and promoting a flexible curriculum that meets the needs of individual students and allows teachers to teach. As Georgia's next school superintendent, Richard Woods will be committed to working with our state's early childhood groups, agencies, and teachers. He would like to express his deep appreciation for our state's early childhood teachers. He knows they are the ones who share in the huge responsibility of ensuring that our children establish a solid foundation on which to build future academic success. And that is the quote from his campaign. However, we do have with us the Democratic candidate, Valerie Wilson, and Valerie is going to join us on stage now. Please welcome Valerie Wilson. Hi, Valerie.
How are you? Nice
Good to see you again. Well, thank you, Valerie, for joining us here today.
Thank you for having me.
And like the Senate candidate before you, Michelle Nunn, you will also have an opening statement in which you can share your thoughts around early childhood education, and then we'll move into the questions.
I have always felt very strongly in working with our education system in the state in city schools of Decatur, the relevance and the importance of having a strong start for our children. When I came on my board in the city of Decatur, we had a 50-point gap between our African American students and our Caucasian students. And one of the areas of our strategic plan that we looked at and focused on, and I was really instrumental in pushing on, was giving our children as much of a balanced start at all possible. So we created the Early Childhood Learning Center at one of the schools that we'd closed in the city of Decatur. We did that because we wanted to be sure, and I had a personal experience really. When my son was born, there really wasn't a place that I wanted to take him, so he stayed with a wonderful lady in her home. But at 3 years old, I realized that my son could tell me more about soap operas than he could tell me about other things that I really want, and he could grasp things at an amazing rate. So I knew the relevance and the importance in having him in a structured environment where he was learning. And because we had a precursor to our Early Childhood Learning Center we called the Kinderheim, he was a student in that, one of the first that had a full day of school at 3 years old. That was important for me, but I recognize and am proud that our Early Childhood Learning Center goes from 0 to 3, then we have pre-K, and then kids go to kindergarten in our elementary schools. So I understand the relevance and the importance of giving children an early start.
Great. Well, in recognizing that 2/3, I'm going to say that again, 2/3 of Georgia's 4th graders are not proficient readers. Pretty shocking. Early childhood advocates have joined parents, caregivers, educators, business leaders, and state and local leaders in a coalition committed to the goal of getting all children in Georgia on a path to reading proficiency by the end of 3rd grade. What is the role of the state superintendent in ensuring that the early childhood system and the K-12 systems are aligned so that students enter kindergarten ready to succeed and on that path?
I think it's really important for the state school superintendent to work closely with districts to ensure that as much as possible we are encouraging them to do what we did in the city of Decatur, and that is to open or to encourage and partner with early childhood learning centers or care providers to be sure that we are sharing curriculums, age-appropriate curriculums with those facilities. In the city of Decatur, one of the things that was extremely important to us was to have certified teachers or highly qualified teachers. So I believe it's really important that we work along with districts, and we provide at the State Department level the support and training to assist those districts with that early childhood curriculum to make sure that that is in place.
Great. Well, through Georgia's quality rated and improvement system, early learning centers across Georgia have embraced a systemic approach to assess, improve, and communicate the level of quality in early and school-age care and education. As superintendent, how will you ensure our earliest learners are guaranteed that same quality that they are experiencing in pre-K, moving into kindergarten and behind? For example, in some states where the pre-K and early childhood system is strong, they come into kindergarten, and the kindergarten is not prepared for these amazing little learners.
I think the thing that we have to do is make sure that as much as possible we are aligning that curriculum. When that curriculum is aligned, and you are working from that pre-K through the 4th grade, and you have in place the study or the area that you're looking at, it's important that you're working along with every grade level, including kindergarten, to make sure that we are preparing students and that the curriculum works not just through K through 4, but the curriculum aligned throughout the system. So I think that's really important.
Well, one of the things that will be happening is there will be a new kindergarten entry assessment, which provides kind of a unique moment in time for gauging children's development and using that assessment data to look both backwards at what happened in their early childhood experience, but also forward to what they're going to need in the K-12 system. So this will provide an opportunity for the public schools to have perspective on students' developmental status at a very critical juncture as they enter into K-12. How will you, as superintendent, use these kindergarten entry assessments to inform early childhood and early elementary practices and policies?
I think one of the things that we have in the K-12 system is the longitudinal data system. And that's really important because it allows us to see where our children are along the continuum throughout their education or their career, their trajectory through the K-12 system. I think when you marry those two together and you have the opportunity to see not only when they're in kindergarten, but before that, prior to that, you get to understand where the children are, what has been some of the issues or the concerns that need to be addressed. And when you put those two together, that allows us to really see the continuum of a child's growth through the system.
Well, those are the end of our questions for you. You do have 1 minute to wrap up and share your thoughts and aspirations as state school superintendent for the early childhood system.
I can tell you that as a member of the Georgia School Boards Association, I was proud to be on the Early Learning Committee for the Vision for Public Education in Georgia. And that extended my interest and commitment and support for early childhood education. It is important, and we really pushed hard in the city of Decatur to ensure that we had highly qualified teachers in our classrooms. We were also very, very clear about wanting to be sure that we were SACS accredited, because it was important for us that our students got the best possible education as possible. And we recognize that there's so much that happens between that 0 to 3 that impacts how well a child does even at 4 and 5. So I can assure you and the viewers that I will work hard as the state school superintendent to make sure that I am advocating not only for our students in our K-12, but for our earlier ages as well.
Great. Well, thank you again for being here with us today, and we look forward to seeing what happens.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.